Welcome back to part 2 of my attempt at fixing the faulty Philips CDI that I bought on eBay. This is the drive from that unit here, and this is what's been causing me the problems. The drive tray doesn't open and close properly, and even when you put a CD in and close it manually, it's not spinning up. So I've got a couple of things I need to test on this, but in anticipation of having to do a replacement repair, I have ordered some parts. I've got a replacement motor here. I got this on eBay. It was really cheap. It was about $1.99 delivered. So that's the motor that actually spins the CD. Whether or not I'll need to use this, I don't know yet. There's a few things I need to test first. And this is the replacement drive belt for the tray mechanism that opens and closes the door. I'm not entirely convinced that this is a proper part. You can't really see it on camera, but it kind of looks to me like the seller is selling slices of rubber tubing and selling them as drive belt replacements, but whether or not it'll work, we'll find out. It should do the job if it can stretch around these parts here, at least maybe just a temporary fix. But anyway, first things I need to do before taking any of this apart are one of the main things that quite a few people had suggested is, if I can just zoom in here, I'll show you. So one of the problems we were having was that the spindle that the CD sits on, this thing in here, quite difficult to access, it's got a lot of resistance to it, so it kind of feels like it's rubbing off this metal base plate here, and quite a few people had suggested this had maybe been pushed down on the spindle and it was stopping the motor from spinning. So one of the first things I'm going to try is to get a pry tool and just try and pop this up a bit and see if that frees up the motor. And if we can get the motor freed up, the next thing I'll then try is hooking it up to some power and see if it actually spins. So that'll let me know for definite if that motor is bad or not, and hopefully it's not bad. It's just a case of popping up that little spindle thing here, because taking this thing apart is looking like it's going to be a real well, not nightmare, but it's going to be a bit of a hassle. So yeah, and then the next thing I'm going to do is just put a new band on this, and hopefully that'll work to get the tray opening and closing properly. So first thing I'll do is I've got my pry tool here, and I'll have a go at prying that spindle up and see if we can get the motor freed. There's not actually enough clearance for me to get the pry tool under there, so what I'm going to have to do is get a penknife and just try and gently use that instead. I'm sorry if I can't get this all on camera very well, but it's quite difficult to do the two things. Oh, there we go. That just popped up. I don't know if you can see that there. And let's see. Okay, that's spinning nice and freely now. So let's apply some voltage to that motor and see if it'll spin freely. To test the motor, what I'm going to be using is this external hard drive reader. It's got an IDE output on the front here and a power output as well for your Molex. And I've got a little adapter here. I think this is from a PC fan or something like that, so you can get your 5 volts off the PC power supply. I've just plugged it in here, and I'll plug this into the motor on the drive. I know it's a bit of a ghetto setup, but it should work for what I need. So I'll quickly get a CD here, and we can put that into the drive and see if it spins up. So I've got myself a Far Cry Blood Dragon original soundtrack, and I'll just pop that in there. Make sure it's fully engaged. Yep. Okay, so next thing to do is I'll hook this up to the little power adapter on the motor. Being very careful not to short anything out, because that would not be good. They're not touching, are they? No. Okay. So, moment of truth. Let's hit the power on the external drive and see what happens. I'll hold on to this in case it goes flying off if it does work. Okay, so it's working. Let's see, let it spin up full speed. Okay, excellent. It's spinning down. It seems to be working okay. No weird noises or anything like that. Excellent. Right, so next thing I'll do is I will replace the band on that motor that opens and closes the tray, and then we can try and put it back into the CDI and see if it works. Here's the replacement belt that the seller sent. I don't know if you can see that, but that obviously isn't a genuine replacement part. Let's see if it will fit anyway, just for our testing purposes. Take the old one off. The old one, as you can see, is much bigger. It is obviously stretched as well, but if you notice with a proper belt, it'll be nice and have nice square edges to them. There we go. So let's fit this on here. If it will actually, it should stretch. It's nice and stretchy. I just don't want it putting too much pressure on any of the pulleys, and that gives us an extra hassle. Okay, this might be tricky to get that around that while trying to film it. Yeah, I might have to do this off camera. So it's not pretty, but it seems to be working okay. It's not coming off either of the pulleys when you open and close the tray. It does feel a little tight, but then again I was used to how it was before, so maybe that'll be okay. It'll do for now anyway, just for testing purposes. The main thing is to test out that drive and see if it actually reads the disc. I've got it partially reassembled, which is enough for us to test out the drive. You can see it's mostly put back together again, and you'll have to excuse the not so great lighting. It is night time, so yeah, I've got all the house lights on at the moment, so let's fire this up and see what we get. And it is spinning, so that's good. Let's come up on screen. Good. Let's eject this, see what we get. And that works, excellent. It's a bit slow, and that is probably because that belt is a bit tight, but I'll sort that eventually, get the proper part for it, but it is working, so that's okay. So let's put a CD in and see if it will read it. Moment of truth. It's spinning. Haha! It's working. Oh, it's nice it's detected it. So let's hit play. Excellent, it's working. I don't want to play any of these too long, I don't want to get a copyright strike, but yep. It's all good. Right, I better pause that and not get myself into trouble. Excellent, it's working again. And it seems like the spindle being squashed down was the only thing really causing the problem, and obviously the drive not opening as well. So what I'll do is I'll get this fully reassembled. I don't have any games to test with it right now. I'll get some of those ordered up and I can test it with that, but for now it seems to be reading the CD okay, so I've got no reason to assume that it wouldn't play a game, but I can always test that in future. But excellent, I'll get this all put back together again and give it one last test. As I was putting this back together again and taking a closer look at everything, I realised that it's actually already got the digital video cartridge installed in it. This is like an expansion so that you can play like video CDs and MPEGs on the system. Totally obsolete, but the fact that it's in there is pretty cool. This is like an extra add-on. You usually find them on eBay for around £15, and the fact that it's already in there is a really nice little bonus. It just slots in the back like that. You push it in and that's you. I'd originally thought that this was just covering the expansion bay and there was nothing in there, so yeah, a nice little surprise bonus. It's now the following day, and as you can see, everything's back together again. It's all been cleaned, it's tested, and it's working great. The only things I'm planning to still do to the machine are replace that belt that's in the drive there. It does work, but I'd just prefer if it had the correct part. And the other thing is to remove this scratch that's on the front here. And someone had suggested in my last video that I should use some metal polish, and that'll at least get that removed to the point where you can't really notice it. So yeah, tested it and it's working fine. The only thing I noticed was that the time and date isn't being saved, and that obviously means the battery and the timekeeping chip is dead. If you know anything about CDIs, you know that's a bit of a pain to fix, because the battery is actually inside the timekeeping chip, which means you have to cut into it, and it's a bit of a hassle. But I probably won't bother with that, because I don't see myself playing too many games on this, and I don't really care so much if I unplug it from the power and I lose the time and date settings. So yeah, if I keep the machine, I'm not too bothered about that. If I sell it, obviously I'd mention that in the listing that the timekeeper chip was flat. But yeah, it doesn't really bother me too much. But overall, really happy with this. I paid, what, £30 in total, and I bought a couple of extra parts I didn't really need. So say £34 or something for a completely boxed, complete CDI. Yeah, I don't think you can complain at that. So thanks for all the comments and all the suggestions on how to get this thing up and running again. It turned out to be a really simple fix. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.